Welcome to my Writing for Change podcast. I'm author Nancy Flinchbaugh, and today I'm interviewing fellow author Kathryn Randall, who has read and reviewed my new book, Revelation on the Sea Island. Let's see what she has to say. Well, welcome, Kathryn Randall.
Thank you.
And thank you for reading my book, Revelation on the Sea Island. And I just wanted to get to know you a little bit. Tell me a little bit about yourself and how you became an author.
Well, I was a science teacher for a long time, and I also worked in environmental. I have a lot of interest in science, and the environment and nature's played an important role in my life. And I've always kind of wanted to write. I've tried to break into the nonfiction area, and around 2013, I got real interested in writing fiction. So blending science and nature and fiction together. And so that's when I came up with the idea of the listening tree. So I've always been writing since like about 7th or 8th grade periodically, but starting in like 2013, I kind of really buckled down to do some hardcore writing every day.
Well, I really enjoyed reading your book, The Listening Tree, which is a very creative young adult novel about a tree through several different generations and the changing climate. It's very creatively written. So I want to thank you for reading my new book, Revelation on the Sea Island. And I just wondered, what did you appreciate about this book?
Well, first of all, I want to say I really love your cover. I think the cover of the book is amazing. And covers are important. They draw people in. And there was a lot about your book that I really enjoyed. I really liked the way you got the reader to think about our past and all the things that we don't know about our past. And then when we find them out, they're like shocking sometimes, and we have to figure out how do we deal with that. So it kind of made me think about a story about my dad. My dad was born in the U.S., but his father came over from Germany and worked in the steel mills in Pennsylvania. My dad never talked about his dad. His dad died when he was 14. His mother died when he was 16. So there was a lot that I didn't know about his background, but I found out a story about my grandfather that he was a really large man, like 6'6", 300 pounds back in the early 1900s, was a huge person. And he passed away, had a heart attack in the steel mill and died. And it took 5 or 6 men to bring his body out of the steel mill. And my father was a very tiny man. So just that little example, like your book made me think a lot about how much I don't know about my past, because in your book, they find out much more revealing things about race and the backgrounds in their families. And I really like the way the story kind of showed how people find these things out and how they deal with them. Do they accept them? Do they get angry about them? And how do they resolve this finding out about things in your past that you had no idea? So I like that part of it quite a bit. I also like the camaraderie of the MAMES. Did you say MAMES or MAMES?
The Magnificent Marvelous Book Club, the MAMS, yes.
Yeah,
they had a good time together.
Yeah, the Magnificent Marvelous Book Club. And I like their camaraderie, and I like the way they respected and supported each other through the story in this book, which for some members of the book club, there was some revelations that were really difficult to resolve in the person themselves. So, and I like the way they were, we need stories where people support each other and accept each other for who they are. So I really enjoyed that part of your book as well.
Thank you. So why would you recommend somebody read Revelation on the Sea Island?
Well, I think I would recommend them for those exact reasons. Because it's a story about, I keep thinking about reality TV. We have all this reality TV where really it's not reality, right? So the relationships on reality TV are not real in general. And they don't portray an example of what it's like to be really human and to be connected to each other at a deeper level. And I think that your book shows people what that's like, and what it's like to have a group of people that you can depend on through no matter what you discover about yourself, what you discover about them, what you discover about the world around you. I think that that's an important message, and I would recommend that people read the book and take from it that message that, we can accept each other for who we are. That's really, really important, especially in today's world. So that
Yeah.
I would recommend the book on that level.
And this is some of the reasons too that I wrote it, is I do believe we're all interconnected, and we're together in this, and we have some terrible history in our country.
Mhm.
But today, we have to move forward and learn to love everybody and realize there are parts of ourselves maybe that are tied into that history.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And your book doesn't try to, what do I want to call it, gloss over that history, right? I
Right.
mean, they go there to the Sea Island, they go to Hilton Head, they go all over and they discover these things, and it's not sugar coated or anything. I mean, this is the way it was, and I think that's important too, because I think too many things today try to paint our history not truthfully and not honestly.
Right.
And the only way we really learn from it is if we look at it in an honest and truthful manner, and then deal with what that brings up for us,
Yeah.
So,
And change so that we no longer discriminate against people.
right,
I have a good friend who grew up in Germany, and she said, they don't try to hide the Holocaust from us. They teach about it in our schools, and they teach about it so it will never happen again.
right,
And that's what I think how we should look at it, not try to hide the history, but to teach and learn about it so that we can do better.
right,
Yeah.
exactly. I would agree. Yeah, yeah.
Well, thank you so much for talking to me today. Is there anything else you want to add?
Well, I wanted to ask, you must have done a tremendous amount of research for this book. Like, I think that another reason to read the book is it has a lot of factual information in it, historical information. And, I think oftentimes people pick up a book and they read it and they don't realize the amount of backstory that has to go into writing a book, especially one that's somewhat historical fiction, right? So I just wanted to say that must have done a tremendous amount of research on this. Are you from the Hilton Head? Are you from the Sea Island area, or?
No, I think, I think my interest started when we went to Myrtle Beach with some of my friends, and we went to Brook Green Gardens. I don't know if you've ever been there. It's a wonderful outdoor sculpture garden, but it was made up of 4 plantations. And they had somebody on their staff, Ron Dies, who was on the Nickelodeon children's program, Gola Land, I think Gullah Travels, but there was a children's program about the Gullah people. And he had a game show that he did for visitors to Brook Green Garden about the Gullah people, and it just made me really interested. And so then my husband and I went on at least 2 trips to try to go to some of the Black heritage sites in the South.
Mhm.
And so that was a lot of my research, and then also trying to find any of the books I could that would augment the information I found at the different sites. And I think a lot of the Black heritage sites do a great job educating and teaching. And so that was pretty much my research, traveling.
Yeah.
And the
Oh,
Mans like to travel too. In my first book, they went to Greece and Turkey, and they dug up scrolls from the 1st century. And the second group book was not about travel, but then they went to Ireland in the 3rd book. So, and then the Sea Islands, and now
yeah.
I went to West Africa, to Ghana a couple of years ago, and so I'm working on a book, Revelation in West Africa. So
Oh,
I get to travel and I learn, and I'm learning a lot about the slave trade and things I didn't know, even though I kind of knew about it generally.
mhm.
So I'm trying to educate myself as I ask my question, what can I do to make my country a better place? And
Yeah.
one of the things I would like to do is eliminate racism. And I think we need to learn about that and teach about it and find ways to overcome it. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, your book does a fantastic job of introducing that to people, and making people think about that. So thank you for writing it.
Thank you so much. It's been great talking to you today.
Nice talking to you too, Nancy.
Thank you for listening to this interview with Kathryn Randall about my book. When Kathryn wrote her review of my book earlier, she said the characters discover stories of the past, weaving them into a hopeful future. She further said, Revelation on the Sea Island is a lesson for us all. Revelation on the Sea Island was named the regional lit winner at the 2025 Great Southeast Book Festival. You can find my award-winning book, Revelation on the Sea Island, on Amazon and Barnes & Noble, and check out more information on my website at nancyflinchbaugh.com. Thank you for listening and have a great day.